What's up, guys? This is Casey Washack with the Rolling for Revenue podcast, your jiu-jitsu business podcast. Guys, if you're looking to create impact in your community as well as create an impact in your own life through jiu-jitsu, this is the podcast for you. Guys, today what I want to talk to you about is there's only 3 different ways to create more revenue inside your business, okay? And we're going to talk about each one. Number 1 is get more members, get more students. All right, we're big believers in many poles in the water at one time. So obviously we're going to be marketing on social media, Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the things, social media, constantly posting. So we're taking care of social media. We also need to be doing more guerrilla style. We need to be getting out into the community, doing things to try to drum up business, get people to know who we are, whether that's doing seminars, whether that's doing bully-proof seminars. I've done talks for realtors on self-defense, silent auctions. There's any way you can think of to get your name in front of a lot of people, okay? And then also internally, referral systems, different challenges to bring people in, just different things you can do with your current membership to also bring more students in. So guys, that's number 1. Now, the one I want to spend the most time on is number 2, which is sell more things to your current members. All right. So in the fitness world, we have a stat, and we emulate this inside our jiu-jitsu school too. The stat is this: I want 80% of my members spending $5 or more per visit. Let's break that down. So on average, and this works with jiu-jitsu too, it's the same. On average, people come about 2.8 times a week. So 3 times a week, okay? 3 times a week, 12 times a month, $5 a visit. I would like people to purchase $60 worth of things inside my gym, inside my school per month. I'd like 80% of my membership to spend $5 per visit, which equates to an extra $60 per person. So let's do some quick math on that. All right. If I have 100 members, 80% of them would be 80 members spending a total of an extra $60 a month. What does that look like? That's an extra $4,800 a month, almost $50,000 a year in just providing other services or retail. So let's talk about this. I feel like this is for a lot of schools, this is definitely an area for improvement. The really neat thing from coming from fitness to jiu-jitsu is the higher price points on things people need in jiu-jitsu. It's hard to find a gi for under $100, right? Rash guards, shorts, $55 each on average. Where my personal training studios, all we have is like a sweatshirt for like $60 seasonally. And then right under that is like $45 protein. Other than that, like we're playing with smaller numbers than jiu-jitsu school. So coming over to jiu-jitsu, I was like, my goodness, there's a gold mine here, right? So you have this opportunity, and what's wild is it's not even about the money. What it's about is nurturing the needs of your students. So this is a jiu-jitsu business podcast. All right. So I'm going to be talking money. I'm going to be talking systems and things like that to not only make sure you're bringing in a certain amount of revenue, but you're keeping that revenue, which means you're going to be able to put money in your pocket. So I feel like I need to mention that because I don't want people getting squirmy talking about money. All right. Money is impact. So if you're not putting any money in your pocket, you're not making enough impact. So let's make more impact. And chances are, I was showing you the numbers on 100 members, 100 students. Could you do that? Could you do that in your school? So use that as a litmus test. 100 members, 80% are spending $5 a visit, which comes out to $60 a month, which comes out to $4,800 a month for the gym, which turns into $50,000 a year. Now, I know these services and retail cost money, but if you're pricing things right, you should be getting at least 50% profit on everything you're doing, okay? So let's talk about this. People need gis. People need rash guards and shorts, especially if they're going to be doing no gi. What else could they need for jiu-jitsu? Do you provide drinks, waters, Gatorades, things like that? Do you provide supplements? Do you protein, collagen, electrolytes? These are things people need. Now, unfortunately, some of the things I'm talking about require education to get them off the ground. You don't have to educate people on, you may actually, new people, you may have to educate on why they need a rash guard. They shouldn't just wear a t-shirt. So you may need to educate them as like, this is why we do this. So you might want to buy our rash guards. And then obviously what I would call lifestyle stuff, t-shirts, sweatshirts, bags, to help people live this lifestyle. That's not, and we didn't even talk services, guys. Services, semi-privates, privates, periodic competition teams, getting ready for tournaments. There's different things you can be doing, different challenges, internal challenges for whatever reason. There's all these different ideas, services and retail that could be generating money for your gym. And once again, this all boils down to you're not giving anybody anything they don't already want. So the really neat thing is if you put out a fat loss challenge in your jiu-jitsu school and no one signs up, you're getting a message. Nobody wants a fat loss challenge, right? Perfect. You can scratch that one off the list. This tournament's coming up in 6 weeks. We're going to be doing designated competition hours, and it's $60 extra for the month, right? Where did that number come from? You're going to have what? If you have 100 members, would 15, 20 do that? So once again, nurturing the needs of your members. What does a parents' night out look like? Pizza and movies and things for the kids to do while the parents go out, they drop the kids off. So there's all these different ideas you can use to hit those numbers, okay? And so I'm giving you permission to start looking at things quarterly, like are we going to start providing gis and things like that and offering gis to sell? And are there different services we can provide in this time of year versus another time of year? There's obviously planning that needs to come into this, but there's such an opportunity that I feel is missed because we just don't want to do the work and we're afraid to ask. The really cool part is everything I just told you is trying to help your students live this lifestyle better, right? So if you put out something and nobody wants it, you got your answer. That doesn't mean they don't want anything. It means they didn't want that. So even a t-shirt design. You put out a t-shirt design, guys, this is our t-shirt for the month. We're pre-selling it. Let me know your size and we'll get it printed for you. It's going to cost $30. And 2 people do it, you're getting your answer. All right, well, that's not a popular design. Why don't I go back to the drawing board for next month? So here's the deal. The caveat to all this is many of us haven't been doing this. Our retail is like a clothes rack that's is in the corner that nobody looks like. This has to become almost like promotional. You have to be talking about it. Guys, t-shirt for the month just dropped. Check the Facebook group. We also sent out a text to everybody. Make sure if you want it, you're copying or you're commenting in one of those 2 areas what size you want, because we are doing the order on Friday. And then you'll get your answer. How many people want it, how many people don't. Now, I was saying the caveat to all this is if you haven't been doing these things, it's going to take a minute for your members to get the hang of it. Why? Because you've already taught them they need to go elsewhere for their needs because you weren't providing services or you weren't providing answers to their needs. So you've taught them this. So now you have to retrain them, right? And that takes repetition, just like jiu-jitsu. So you got to keep trying. So now we have gis. Guys, we have gis, team gis. blah, blah, blah. So it's going to take a minute for it to catch on. And guess what? Here's what I like to tell everybody, especially when they're like, nobody's buying them. This current crop of students are not buying them. You sign up someone tomorrow, this is all they know. Yes, we have gis, tell us your size and we'll get it to you, blah, blah. That new person, this is all they know. Cool, they have everything I need here. It's the clientele and the students you've had for a while that you've trained to look elsewhere, that it's going to take a minute for them to come around, if they come around at all. But guess what? Just the ebbs and flow of business in 6 months to a year, a lot of times, if you took a picture today of your team and a picture a year from now, it'll probably look completely different with a few familiar faces. It's just how it evolves, right? So, that being said, you got to give yourself grace on this. It's not going to be a home run immediately. But the more you do it and the more you put things out there, the more people get used to offers and used to you asking or telling, hey, we got this if you want it. That's all you're doing. We got this if you want it. If they don't want it, cool. All right, guys, then the third is probably the hardest, especially for those of us who have big hearts. So we have 3 ways. There's only 3 ways to grow your business through revenue, and that is get more students, sell your students more stuff, or raise the rates of your students. Okay? And now this is one where probably a lot of people are squirming right now, but you probably know it in your heart of hearts, you're too cheap. And this one is never easy. Okay? For whatever reason, the fitness industry, jiu-jitsu, martial arts, we are looked at as different from the rest of the world. Gas prices change every day. Your mortgage changes every year. Eggs change, milk changes, everything changes, but you have to stay the same for some reason, while your expenses change and grow. So I'll just tell you some of the easiest ways to do this. Number 1 is if you've changed elements of your business, you won't get as much friction from raising rates. What I mean by that is if you've added more classes, if you've recently renovated the gym, you provided more services, which means more staff, or you've even relocated and you're able to do more of these things, then this allows you to justify a rate increase, all right? So this is where a lot of people get squirmy. I personally don't believe in founders' rates because I've been in business 20 years with some of my gyms, and I couldn't have someone paying 2006 personal training prices in 2026. Rates have to go up. And hopefully you've provided enough value and you've explained enough value and have enough social currency with your members that they're like, yeah, this is absolutely worth it. That being said, there's a whole formula to doing this. You need to know how many people you could potentially lose when doing this. There's a breaking point, right? So if you have so many members and you're expecting so many members are going to stay, but a fraction are going to leave, there's a breaking point where you raised everybody's rates, but we lost some people, so now we have less people, but we're making the same amount of money. That's not a bad thing. That's just, it's the way. You're never going to get 100% to move unless you change rates $1, and that's probably not worth the time. You're probably still going to get some friction. So there's a breaking point. So you want to make sure you know how many people you can lose. And then it's almost expected. You're like, all right, I raised rates $50, which means I got to keep X amount of people, which means I could lose 22 people. All right. And then, so anything under 22, it feels like a win. Like, awesome. We are now ahead and we have more space now for people who believe in the value we have. So there are going to be people, like if you go from $100 to $125, there are going to be people who say, you were worth $100, but this isn't worth $125. And they're going to bounce. You got to be ready for that. Now, there's a way to do this. Number 1, you don't spring it on people. Number 2, never do it around January, Because people, believe it or not, people are already evaluating you if this is where they want to spend the next year. And they're like, well, that new place is down the street, but their class schedule. So it's happening whether you like it or not. People are reevaluating if they want to stay with you, if you're worth the price, if you're worth the trek getting there, all the things, all the friction they have to do jiu-jitsu, they're reevaluating. So it's not just you. It's everything they have to do to get to jiu-jitsu. It's even their spouse. Their spouse complains 3 times a week every time they go. So they want to keep dealing with that this year. So it's January is typically like a reevaluation period for people. And that's where you tend to, while there is a January push, there's also a January cancellation wave too. So you'll notice in a lot of Januaries, which a lot of us don't keep track of our numbers, but if we did, we notice that they're pretty similar. We got 20 new members, but you're not keeping track of the fact that you lost 18 who reevaluated and said, for whatever reason, either jiu-jitsu is not worth it or this isn't. Getting to this school and being at this school isn't worth it. So we always want to do like a State of the Union as well as and project these things a few months in advance. Like, hey guys, it's January. Let me tell you all the things coming down the pipe for 2026. Here's what we're going to be doing. We want to add this. We want to add that. We're looking at doing these tournaments this year, this, that, and the other. So you're talking about all the growth that you're going to do and all the involvement you're going to have. And then that's when you say, and, we're so pumped for, the growth we had in 2025. We added this. We added these classes. We did these tournaments and everything. And we just feel with the way everything is going, our new rate will be 125. And then you just basically say that will go into effect April 1. So you're giving them like 4 months, 3-4 months to digest this. And that's when you'll get the individual conversations. So you do the State of the Union, but you do it a few times through that period. So it's not a surprise to people. All right? And you try to make it as seamless as possible, meaning it's just going to go into effect. You don't need to sign new contracts. You don't need to do anything like that. Try to make it as seamless as possible. Saying like April 1st, unless we hear from you, it's going to go to 125. And I know that number's low. I'm just giving you a base of reference here. It's going to go to 125. And, we're so pumped with all the different things we're going to be including. So you have to mention the things you have done, the value you did increase, the amount of classes, the amount of hours they can be doing jiu-jitsu now, bringing on more staff members, doing these different events and things like that. You have to explain that, but then also future pace, what we're going to be doing this year, and if you're going to be adding more things. So this just softens the blow. It softens the blow for the price increase, all right? And then just be prepared. You got to have your number. Have your number with knowing how many people you can lose, and literally just keep track of that and keep track of the individual conversations, and that's that. So guys, if you got value from this, please like, share, and comment. And go to rollingforrevenue.com. Get yourself a copy of the Rolling for Revenue book. It's free. All you got to do is pay for the shipping, and I'll send it to you. And other than that, guys, keep training, keep changing lives, and I'll see you on the mat.